I expect people buy you dolls, don't they? He continued. But it's not dolls for you. You like to make things move, I think. A toy you can control. Wait here. In a flash, the old man was gone. The girl couldn't even see where he'd got to. But moments later, he reappeared with a pleasingly large box in his hands. A Peggy of your very own. This Peg was a perfect replica of the automaton, right down to the pale blue dress and freckles, but strung to a wooden frame with near-invisible threads. A puppet? The girl was a little disappointed, but too polite to say. Not just any puppet. A marionette. Verity held the frame gently, tweaking the strings, and Miniature Peg tossed her head angrily, then put her hands on her hips and walked away in a huff, every bit as if she were alive. Now the girl was intrigued. You can show me how to do that? I think you were born to do it. The rest of the visit passed in a blur. A lesson in puppetry, a trip to the Hall of Delicacies, where she drank a creamy cup of hot chocolate and devoured a gingerbread man still warm from the oven. Meeting Father Christmas, who, with his bristly white beard and genuine jelly belly, was definitely the real thing this time. On the way home, she held her Peg puppet tightly against her and thought about the real Peggy Goodchild who had lived at the Emporium so long ago, in a time of sweeping ball gowns, fluttering fans, horses and carriages. At 8 years old, life still seemed magical to her. She could think of nothing finer than being a poor orphan whisked away by a rich, eccentric family, given beautiful clothes, and taken to live in an emporium full of toys. It would be much more adventurous than living in a boring house with sensible parents. It was only 6 months later, when she became an orphan herself, that she began to think differently. She had no extended family, nobody to take her in. And as she moved through the care system, the only familiar face in her life was the puppet. She clung to it, using it to act out a better future. All her plans and dreams poured into one stringed figure until she was surprised it didn't crack open under the pressure. At night, she would lie, her puppet in her arms, staring up at the ceiling and fantasizing about the Emporium, its beautiful halls and twinkling lights, the staff who seemed to appear like magic whenever you wanted them, the toys you could play with endlessly. Sometimes she thought that trip to the Emporium was the last good, beautiful thing to have happened to her. Nothing bad could ever happen there.